1995, the legislature was forced to reduce the school property tax rate because it was declared unconstitutional. Local property taxes were reduced by 33%, and the margins tax was created to replace this revenue. If you believe that the margins tax should be eliminated, then what new revenue source would you use to replace this revenue stream to public education? Mind you, that there's an offset now, because the original margins tax was at one level and it has subsequently been changed. So there is an offset now. And we'll start with Mr. Akers.
Well, I really don't agree with your premise, and that is that we have to replace the tax.
Not my premise, it's the
No,
question.
no,
Okay.
And I didn't mean you personally. I didn't mean you
Okay.
personally. But I do not agree with the premise that we've got to find the revenue. I think that we need to reverse. You know, as a business owner, there are a lot of times that I could not raise new revenue, so I had to find a way to cut my cost. And I think that this is the case here. We need to get the budget from the state into a basic, prudent, frugal, lean and mean, as the expression would go. And I would not try to replace the margins tax, but I would try to find the cuts and do cut the budget.
Mr. Burns.
Well, I'm similarly inclined. Our company, which is a very good company, grew to 620 people, and then we had to shrink by 25% over a 3-year period. And I don't see that the state shrank by 25% over the same period of time. We've got to get a culture where we deal with the expenses according to the revenues. The problem with the margins tax is just, it's not fair. You say we got a 33% cut in property tax. My property tax bill didn't go down by 33%, but my margins tax bill went up 3x. So it is a problem. The math didn't work out according to the way they were expecting, but I'm not willing to try and trade one tax for another. The only thing I would be considering is if we could allow the schools to keep some of the tax that we're sending to the state. I might be in favor of a slight revisit to the property tax. Again, I didn't get a 33% tax break, so I already feel like I'm paying more than the break I got.
Thank you.
It's not a revenue problem, it's a spending problem in Texas. In my role, let's bring it down to budgeting 101. In my role as a husband and a father, leader of our family, and when I'm planning our family budget, I mean, I've got to establish my core priorities for my family. Food, shelter, clothing, medicine, doctor visits. And if we can't afford to go on vacation this summer, then I don't go take out a small loan or go get a credit card to pay for it. I have to tell my wife we're not going on vacation this summer. And by the way, with the way redistricting is going, we're not going on vacation this summer. And so that's the mentality we need to have in Austin, is if we can't afford these items, we shouldn't cut one area and go look for revenue and for an additional source for more revenue. It's a fallacy to think that that's the way it's got to be done. We can cut back and continue to provide for our core competencies, and I think we need to do it. And by the way, the franchise tax I think is unconstitutional, and so it really shouldn't even be a question.
We need to intellectualize the issue of how we fund education. We take a little money from here, a little money from there. For a long time, local property taxes went to fund local schools. Then they created something called Robin Hood. And Robin Hood is a misnomer, because Robin Hood was a hero. He stole from the evil rich to give back to the poor who had been overburdened by taxes in the first place. So why did we allow this program to be named after Robin Hood? That was a mistake. We failed to intellectualize the issue. What we have here is an issue where, when I was a kid, I read a book, very thick, very dense book, and it was called Das Kapital. And it said, from each according to his ability, to each according to his need. That's what Robin Hood really is. So we need to intellectualize the issue of how we fund education. We need to find a standalone means to do that. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. Last question for the day. If elected, we'll start with Mr. Burns on this one, okay? If elected,